everyone. Come on in. Can everyone hear me okay? Okay. If you can't, for some reason, I won't be talking a whole lot tonight, but if you can't, just comment in the comments because I've been having some issues with my audio. That's why I've been putting my headphones in recently. Okay, so oil up. We got some stuff to talk about tonight. This is exciting. I have my, what do I have? Not turmeric tea. Yeah, it is turmeric tea, isn't it? Yeah, the turmeric tea from Young Living. Nice and warm and spicy for what we're going to talk about. Hopefully, I don't know if it goes with my dosha though. So Molly will talk about that tonight. I think I need cool things, not warming things, because I'm a little fiery already. All right, come on in, come on in. Oh, my hair is not cooperating. Okay, I'm just another minute. I'm going to let everyone just make their way in the Zoom room. So go ahead and put some oils on. I'm putting Believe on because it's like my favorite, because my whole goal this 2022 is working on mindset, the stories we tell ourselves. So Believe and rosemary. I'm going to do a post about rosemary and its benefits on 5G. Ooh, and if you're not muted, if y'all could just mute, make sure you're on mute so we don't hear any background noise. Thank you so much. That would be awesome. What oils are you putting on tonight? What oils are you loving lately? There are like over what, 500 oils? So anything new that you're loving, anything new that you just ordered, let us know. Okay. I think we're good. We're good. So tonight, we're going to be talking about Ayurvedic principles. So the health benefits and the higher Ayurvedic principles and health. Is that right? I'm not even like, I'm blubbering over my words. The health benefits and principles of Ayurvedic medicine. I briefly touched on this when I was going through nutrition school for health coaching, and my mom's in here too. And I know Molly, my mom said you and her had an amazing conversation on Saturday. And so my mom's in here too. My mom and I went through nutrition school together and briefly touched on it, and it really intrigued me, but I felt so overwhelmed. There were so many different modalities of, healing and different diets, all the things to follow. And my naturopath, she said, she gave me a diet to follow for Pitta Vata. And she said I need to be stick with cooling foods. So I've been just kind of diving in just a little bit. And Molly and I were talking, and she is an Ayurvedic specialist. She's part of our community. You've been part of our community for, I would say, 4 years, probably.
Sounds right. Sounds right.
Okay. Yeah. So quite a while. And she has so much knowledge to share. And I said, would you want to do a Zoom on a Monday night? So I know it's kind of scary breaking out of comfort zones, right? But she said, yes, absolutely. So she has so much information to bring to us tonight. And so you are also a yoga instructor too. Yoga?
Yes, I'm a yoga therapist.
Yoga therapist, yeah.
So I specialize in yoga for individuals in group with chronic pain. Okay.
So you're very specific when it comes to the things that you do to help people, right? You have Be Well Living. So you health coach as well. So you take on clients, plus you have a full-time job. So you are a busy woman, but I know health is a passion of yours. So I'm going to let you take over, Molly, and I'm going to man the comments. So if you have questions throughout the night, go ahead and put those in the comment box. And periodically we'll go through some questions, or we'll wait for the end to answer them. But I'm going to allow Molly to introduce herself and share the screen with us. I'm just so grateful to have her here tonight and learn more about Ayurvedic practices.
Thanks, Sarah. And thank you for taking over the Q&A, because I really do want to take time about halfway through and at the end for some Q&A. So I'm really grateful because my full-time job is actually doing what I'm really passionate about, and that's yoga therapy, Ayurvedic health and wellness coaching at a drug and alcohol behavioral health center. And then I have my private practice, which is Be Well Living. And I'm also really grateful to be in the oily community with, I think, most of you. So I do have a PowerPoint, so I'm going to pull that up now.
And while you do that, I'll just I'll look to see what everyone is oiling up with tonight.
Okay.
So you are ready. So Northern Lights tonight, Sarah. Believe in the Diffuser, Rosemary. Let me see. And Northern Lights.
There we go.
I feel like we're all in the same like wavelength here. Okay. So I'm going to let Molly take over. You got this PowerPoint going. Go for it.
So Ayurveda health and nutrition, there's my information, and that will also be presented at the end of the call. I think it's only fair if we start talking about what is Ayurveda health before going into nutrition. There is a lot to it, so don't get overwhelmed. There's a lot to digest, but we'll do it together. And again, I'll have time for questions and answers. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Just want to make sure, there we go. So what is Ayurvedic health? The word Ayurveda is translated to the knowledge of wisdom. So Ayurveda, along with its sister yoga, comes from an ancient text called the Vedas. And the Vedas means knowledge or wisdom, and Arya means life. And it's one of the oldest wellness systems, and it's been practiced for years. Ayurveda says life is made up of the mind, the body, the soul, and the senses. So our mind is our emotions and our thoughts. We can pause, breathe, give ourselves quiet time, meditation, and it helps us find mental balance and a healthier outlook on life. Body, I think most of you are interested in this or you would not be here tonight, is the healthy nutrition, physical exercise, healthy or not so healthy habits, which we all have those, which determines whether we feel well or not. Soul, for me, soul is one's higher self, higher power, the universe, God of your understanding. And your senses are our signals. They let us know when something is taking us out of our natural state of balance or bringing us back into our natural state of balance. You're going to hear me say those words throughout the entire call tonight. So I'd like to ask you to take a moment and write down or think of one or two things that you know that brings you into your natural state of balance. So think of like examples are mindful and healthy eating, exercising, using your essential oils, setting healthy boundaries. So take a few moments and write or think of one or two things that you know yourself well enough that brings you into a natural state of balance. Now take a moment and write down one or two, three things that you know that moves you out of your natural state of balance. Going to bed too late, eating too much sugar, not setting healthy boundaries. And this isn't to judge yourself or shame yourself, but just to bring awareness of those things that move you or take you out of your natural state of balance. For me is going to bed too late. It throws me off for the next day. Even if I get a good night's sleep, it still throws me off for the next day. My constitution or pitta needs a good 8 hours sleep. Okay, we're going to go ahead and move on so everybody's not so fixated on what moves them out of their natural state of balance. So why do some people think Ayurveda is confusing or even complicated? One of the reasons is because Ayurveda tends to use Sanskrit language, which is an ancient Hindu language. We also can use it in yoga, and it's to describe its health benefits. The words are actually used to help to get you to know yourself better. And not one body is the same. There is no set list of foods or routines for every body. Ayurveda health varies according to the individual. It's an individual well-being program or practice, I should say. When you get to know yourself, again, the mind, body, soul, and senses, then you're able to understand what brings you into balance and what pushes you out of balance. So Ayurveda is a wellness system for an individual's well-being. So what does the 5 elements have to do with Ayurvedic health? This is where I get really excited, and that's actually my logo for Be Well Living, is the 5 elements. So according to Ayurveda, every body is made up of the combination of the 5 elements of nature. So space or ether is always in the background. It provides all the other elements space to interact together. Earth, we nourish ourselves with food from the earth, and eventually our bodies return to the earth. Fire provides our body with heat, energy, and metabolism. Air flows freely throughout our body, giving us movement and feeding our cells oxygen. And water. Water is our life's sustainable nectar. It makes up 70% of our body. So when we're aware of the 5 elements within our individual self, we can understand what, again, moves us out or moves us away from or out of our natural state of balance, and what brings us back to our natural state of balance. Again, you're going to hear me continuously talk about that. So you can reflect back to what you're just thinking or writing down that moves you or brings you back into the natural state of balance. So what is a dosha? So, dosha can be another confusing Ayurvedic word, especially if you've never heard of it. The 5 elements are combined in our body to form 3 energy centers or life forces, and they're called the doshas. They're also referred to as the constitution or your constitution. So there are 3 doshas. The first one is vata, is what we say here in the West, but it's actually vata. And vata is made out of or consists of air and ether, air and space. And it's the most powerful of all the doshas. It controls basic bodily functions as well as your mind. And when you get more familiar with the doshas and the constitutions, if they are out of balance, the first dosha that we will always want to look at is vata, because vata is air and space. And again, ether is what holds space within us for all the other elements. And then you have kapha, which is what we say in the West, and it's actually kapha. So kapha consists of water and earth, and it controls strength, stability, your muscle growth, weight, and the immune system. And pitta. Pitta consists of fire and water. It controls our metabolism, digestion, hormones, and appetite. Now, all doshas consist of all 5 elements, but each one consists of particularly 2. And one dosha is not better than the other. Some people may think so, but but they're not. And each of them have specific sets of functioning roles to play in your body. So when the doshas are out of balance, or especially when your dosha is out of balance, again, it's going to take you out of that natural state of balance. So what is your dosha? If you don't know your Ayurvedic constitution or dosha, please consider working with an Ayurvedic coach to guide you through a wellness assessment and a dosha quiz. You'll receive recommendations designed to support you in your journey for optimal health and well-being. There is a site, just like when we go to Young Living for our essential oils, us Ayurvedic practitioners go to a site. I'm going to actually do my best here to pull it up. Sarah, can I share another screen while this is up?
I've never tried that before.
Okay, I'm going to end this.
Okay.
But I can come.
Now so, you can, yeah.
There we go. So Banyan Botanicals is like Young Living for our essential oils. Ayurvedic practitioners go to Banyan Botanicals. You can go there for your Ayurvedic needs. They have an Ayurvedic quiz that you can take, and then they'll set up an Ayurvedic profile for you.
I don't see that on here. Are you sharing that?
I am doing my best to share that.
Okay.
So that's not coming up.
It's not.
Okay. So at the end of the PowerPoint, I will have my references, and that's one of my references.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. So then that will come up.
Okay, perfect.
So let me see if I can go back to, there we go. Correct slide. There we go. Also for tonight, I'm going to be offering 20% off to everybody on the call, an Ayurvedic constitution assessment, wellness, yoga therapy assessment. So anybody on the call, I'm offering that 20% for you tonight. Okay, so one more before we take some questions. Like attracts like, opposites create balance. People look at me, they have no idea what that means. It's one of the basic principles of Ayurvedic health. So like attracts like, opposites create balance. So welcome to the gunas, or specific qualities. There's 20 qualities altogether. They make up 10 opposing pairs. So the gunas allow for specific remedies and deeper understanding of our unique self. So there is a list. I want you to take a few moments and write these down. And if you don't have time to do that, or don't have paper, you can Google these, or I can get them to you. But heavy and light, smooth and rough, stable and mobile, cold and hot, dense and liquid, cloudy, clear, oily, dry, soft, hard, dull, sharp, gross, and subtle. So life is a balancing act, and we use the opposites as a way to balance what serves us well. So soft foods need more roughage, dry foods need hydration, hot and acidic foods need alkaline cooling agents, and oily foods need bitters. So with a basic understanding of the gunas, we can begin to see what's out of balance, what needs more awareness, what specific opposite qualities will be more effective in leading us back to our natural state of balance. So that was a lot of information. That was like just a smattering of basic Ayurveda. We can like check in, let's check in if anybody has questions before we move on to Ayurvedic nutrition. So Sarah, you can see those, and
Yeah. Oh, wait, there's
if
no
anybody has-
questions yet, but if anyone has questions, let's ask it now. Just to clarify anything. So I'm going to ask a question first, while anyone else is typing. So with these gunas, so if you are, just for example, if you're eating a lot of soft food, that could mean you're out of balance. You would need more, let's just say, roughage. Is that what you're
Yes.
meaning? Okay.
Yes, you're eating only soft foods, which for me, I don't think processed when I think smooth or soft, but a lot of processed food is smooth and soft.
Okay. All right. Or like temperature, like if you live in a really warm climate and you get no cool, like if it's always warm, then you need to balance it out with like some kind of coolness, right? Is that what that's?
Yes and no. So,
Okay.
so that's an Ayurvedic answer. It depends. And you'll hear a lot of, mostly all Ayurvedic practitioners say that. It depends. We're going to talk about that here soon, about why it depends. And it's going to go back to seasonal eating. So it depends on your climate. It depends on your dosha.
Okay.
So hence why Ayurvedic health can be, to some people, complicated, because it depends.
Okay. Gotcha. Well, we can keep moving on because there was no questions at this point. So if you have any questions, go ahead. Anytime you feel like, oh, that's a good question, I'll just comment right away so that you don't lose it and we can go back to it.
Okay, good.
Yep.
So the Ayurvedic perspective on nutrition. So to understand Ayurvedic nutrition, we need to begin with the role of our digestive fire, which is Agni. So Agni translates to ignite or fire. And Agni governs digestion, absorption, assimilation of our food. Its job is to digest and turn our food into prana or energy. Our food is rooted in the strength of Agni, from nourishing our tissues to strengthening our immune system. The effectiveness of our digestion depends on the strength of our Agni. If our Agni is strong, then appetite is good. Digestion and absorption are easy and elimination is steady. If our Agni is low, food will sit in our stomach and we may feel gassy or queasy. The 6 tastes are a crucial part of the digestive process. So when we taste our food, it stimulates our digestive fire, our Agni. Little saying down there that every imbalance and disease starts with a weakened Agni. So probably the second topic that I get really excited and passionate about is the 6 tastes. So the 6 tastes, Ayurveda identifies the 6 tastes: sweet, sour, pungent, astringent, bitter, and salty, as the natural guide for your body's nutritional needs. According to Ayurveda, a balanced meal containing all 6 tastes not only incorporates all the flavors to make a meal satisfying, but it also ensures that the nourishment is digested. So by understanding the way the 6 tastes affects the 3 doshas, you can choose foods and herbs that will bring you into balance and healing. So I don't know if you want to take a minute and just write down those 6 tastes. I'll be continuing to refer back to them. Does anybody have any questions about these 6 tastes before we move on? Good, okay. So the 6 tastes, the elements, the doshas, oh my. So once the 6 tastes are consumed, they will either increase or decrease your dosha, the vata, pitta, kapha. So to help balance your dosha, it's important to incorporate all 6 tastes Otherwise, eating just 1 or 2 tastes can create a dosha imbalance. Consuming all 6 tastes is a means to bring you back to your natural state of balance. You know your body's inner intelligence to understand what is going to take you away from your natural state of balance and what's going to bring you back into your natural state of balance. So you can refer back to the beginning of the PowerPoint when you wrote down or you thought of those things that, bring you back into the natural state of balance or take you away. Every substance is made up of some combination of the 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air, space. And the 6 tastes have certain qualities. Remember the gunas. So for example, the sweet taste is composed primarily of earth and water, lending to the qualities, the gunas, of heavy, dense, and moist. So because like increases like, you might understand that eating foods that are sweet or have a sweet taste will increase the kapha dosha, because the kapha dosha is comprised of the same elemental qualities, earth and water. So a few questions to ask yourself. How does my meal make me feel? Does it energize me, or does it make me feel sluggish? Does my meal leave me feeling satisfied or with lingering cravings? I think I know myself, I've eaten something and then afterwards I'm still craving. Like one thing that I used to do is I'd crave something sweet after I'd eat a certain meal. One that can actually be habitual, that you feel you need dessert. We don't need dessert, we want dessert. And usually that's because we're missing the sweet taste in our meal. And how well does it digest? How well does my meal digest? Does it leave me gassy and queasy? So taste is a crucial part of the digestive process. When we taste our food, it stimulates our Agni, our digestive fire. So when you incorporate all 6 tastes in a meal and you adjust the proportions of each taste for your constitution, for your dosha, and eat seasonally, you'll bring balance into your body's nutritional needs. Did I just skip? Bear with me. I think I just skipped. Nope. Okay. So Ayurveda's path of self-healing. So eating Ayurvedically is about planning your unique constitution. That means taking into consideration your environment, your current state of health, the 6 tastes, and seasonal foods. There is not a one diet fits all approach. So on the Ayurvedic path of self-healing, the 6 tastes are a way to keep your senses alert and explore foods and herbs that will balance your mind, body, soul, and senses. We can apply these Ayurvedic concepts to any food, no matter what's in our garden, our pantry, whatever's available at our farmers markets or our grocery stores. We can apply the Ayurvedic concepts to any of our foods. So here are 6 basic principles to be mindful of when preparing your meals. So mind your gunas. Like attracts like, opposites create balance. Ayurveda looks at the gunas for simple guidelines as what we should eat to feel balanced, peaceful, clear, and light. Foods that are full of prana, energy, returns us back to our natural state of balance. Mix the 6 tastes: sweet, sour, salty, pungent, bitter, astringent. When combined, all 6 tastes in a meal feed and balances all 5 elements in you. Seek the sun. The sun is the ultimate source of prana. It's the giver of light and it's the giver of life. And eat seasonally. So when preparing our meals, add something straight from the season's garden to optimize balanced wellness and optimize digestibility, or Agni. So enjoy cooking with herbs and spices to increase flavor and support strong digestion. Ayurveda is an invitation to explore which herbs and spices work best for you. The good 80-20 rule. Ayurvedic nutritional guidelines for each dosha are incredibly helpful, but remember, they're just guidelines. They're not hard, fast rules. It's just a guideline. And we say 80-20. So 80% Ayurveda, 20% mindful eating. And for me, it's really more like a 60-40. I mean, it's progress, not perfection. So by being aware and trusting your unique experience, you access your own body's wisdom. So discovering your own individual expression of these principles is the true gift of Ayurveda. So I really thought that my PowerPoint would take a really long time. And then when I laid my head down last night to go to bed, I was like, I don't know if I have enough to fill an hour. So, and that's okay. So let's take some time here for some questions and answers. This is my information. These are the resources that I used. The bottom one is the Himalayan Institute, which is also Yoga International. And that is where, that's the ashram that I've been studying at for 20 plus years, and where I did my Ayurvedic training. And then I also, after Q&A, would like to discuss doing a Zoom call part 2. But I'd like to hear from you on what you're interested in when it comes to Ayurveda, because it's so dense and there's so much to it. What would you like to focus on for the next Zoom call?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we do have some questions, and this is great. I think it was the perfect introduction, Molly, because it is so dense and it's so different from what we are used to, especially if you are in Berks County, Lancaster County, Lebanon County. It is a very different concept. And I know when I had brought this up at one of my classes, one of my folk school classes, there was one other girl out of 6 that had gone through health coaching with me a couple years later, and she was familiar with Ayurveda. I say Ayurveda, you say how do you pronounce it?
It's actually Ayurveda.
Ayurveda. Okay.
10 times, it comes out different every time.
Okay. Then maybe I was saying it. Ayurveda. And there was only one other person that knew about it, and so I was like, well, this sounds like a good topic to bring up and to bring awareness to, because it is so much of the whole body, like you were explaining. It's not just, eat meat, keto, right? Or paleo. It's really taking into consideration the whole person and your personality. Are you fiery? Are you more of a calm person? So yes, so I think this was perfect. And let me ask some of these questions, because there's some good ones coming in. Angela asked, if someone is having taste issues, loss of taste, will it hinder their digestion? Or, and I'm thinking, would this be like taste training then, if you're touching all those palate senses?
So great question, especially with some of the things that are going on in today's world. There's other ways that you can increase your digestion: the sun, getting outdoors, exercise. So digestion, or Agni, isn't just, I say stoked. Sorry, there will be a lot of like yoga language. You can stoke it not just with taste, but you can stoke it with exercise. You can stoke your fire with breathing techniques, which hence, even though if you lost the sense of smell, you can still practice what I call pranayama or breathing techniques. So there's other ways that you can increase your fire or your digestion.
Okay, good to know. I'm thinking of some other things too that you can increase your fire with. That would be good. Like Valentine's Day is coming up. I'm sure sex probably increases your fire, right? With that?
Well, it does, but it can deplete it.
Okay.
It depends, Sarah.
I guess it all depends on the person, right? Okay.
Yes, it depends on the person.
Okay. So how does one address multiple members of a family during each meal?
So that's a great question. I'm going to use my husband and I as an example. So now again, please keep in mind that all your doshas or all the doshas have all 5 elements. Okay. So even though that my constitution is pitta, vata, I still have earth in me. I still have kapha in me. It's just not prominent. So I'm pitta vata and my husband is kapha pitta. So we share a lot of the same tastes. So I explain it like a taco bar. So when you prepare a meal, and if you are aware of you and your partner's dosha or constitution, you still want to have all 6 tastes there. It's just you want to balance it. Like, for example, pungent. Okay, being pitta, pungent will aggravate my pitta. So if we have peppers, I would have a green bell pepper, which is pungent, but not as pungent as having a jalapeno, which I love jalapenos because I'm pitta, but I know that there's cause and effect. So if I have pitta, if I have a pepper, I would have a green bell pepper, which is still falls under pungent, but it's more cooling than a jalapeno. So again, knowing your 6 tastes and knowing your constitution and eating seasonally, that's a huge piece of it.
That's good to know. So making sure at each meal, you just have all 6 of those tastes for everyone.
Or prepare your food with all 6 tastes.
Or prepare, okay.
Yeah, so like my husband, he always has like the sriracha beside him, or he grows probably 4 different kinds of hot peppers and he makes his own dried peppers. He makes his own hot sauce, and that's sitting right beside him because he's kapha. He needs that. He needs pungent. It will balance him. It will bring him into the state of balance. I have to say that I do enjoy a little bit of hot sauce, but I know that I have to balance it with some cilantro. Cilantro is cooling.
And I would think like red bell peppers are kind of sweet in a way too, right?
They can be, yes.
Okay.
But peppers under pungent.
Pungent. Okay. All right. Next one is when you meet for consultations. This is Sarah. When you meet for consultations, do you discuss what would be in season and recommend eating for each dosha?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You'll take a dosha test or dosha quiz. I hate to say test because people get anxious with that, but it's just a couple questions to again bring you more aware of your dosha, your constitution. And then I hold space and things come up, and hopefully, it will open you to feeling safe and comfortable to start talking. And usually it might take a different path, as into, you are eating a lot of spicy food, or you eat out a lot, or you're eating, what would be a good example of what we should not be eating this time of year? So what would we not be eating this time of year? I'm more thinking of what we should be eating this time of year.
Yeah. Well, I'm like salad and
yeah, like when we shouldn't be eating. Salads are really healthy. There's Sarah Alley. So
she said key lime pie.
Yes. No key lime pie and margaritas in January. But also salads, like salads are healthy, but we should not be eating them every single day in January. And what's on them? And can we wilt our, lettuce? Are we eating crunchy cold romaine in January? So thinking seasonally.
So seasonally for January would be still getting vegetables, but more root vegetables, like squashes, that kind of thing, right? Warming foods, warming vegetables.
Warming, but you can even have like kale, but you want to cook your kale. You want to warm your kale. Raw foods are very hard to digest. So I'm not saying don't ever eat, again, it depends. I'm not saying don't ever eat something that's raw. I'm just saying it's not going to ignite your Agni. It's not going to ignite your digestive fire. Raw foods are challenging to digest.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up, because that is really important all around, not even Ayurveda, but just in general, raw foods are really hard to digest.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got some recommendations for part 2 here. For part 2, how do we get started with making some changes to our lifestyle in this?
Well, I think reflect back to the beginning of the PowerPoint, Sarah, where hopefully people wrote down, if not, that they thought about what takes them out of their natural state of balance. Like what if that was eating too much sugar takes me out of my natural state of balance? Okay, well, let's look at the type of sugar you're digesting. Are you eating cookies? Are you eating warm apples with cinnamon on? They're both sweet, but one's going to take you out of your natural state of balance because it's way too much sugar. Or, some people, I'm very good at moderation. I can have one cookie and walk away. And astringent, bitter, and sweet are my 3 tastes out of the 6 that balances pitta. So I can have a cookie and walk away. But then there's my husband who's kapha, and he wants like 10 cookies because he's earth and water. So he's dense. He's, if he eats too much sweets, he's going to get even heavier. I don't mean physically heavy. I mean, like, what do I want to say? Sluggish. He's going to get tired. Food gives me energy, where food can make my husband tired. But again, it depends on, are you incorporating all 6 tastes in your meal?
And it sounds like, like the cookies or like the warm apples with cinnamon, like the warm apples and cinnamon would be comforting, right? And so it's not like you're depriving yourself then of anything.
You don't want to deprive yourself, because what's going to happen is eventually then you're going to start to create a mental imbalance. Then it's going to start that shaming and blaming, and then you're going to, an example I was presenting a PowerPoint, and it was about self-care. And it was self-care on all of your beings, your physical body, your energetic, your mental, emotional, and spiritual being, which we call the koshas, or the sheets of your being in yoga. And we took a break, and somebody went to get a soda, and they were drinking the soda in front of me, and they were like shaming themselves. And I said, well, it's better to drink a soda than to be dehydrated. It's like, shaming yourself for drinking the soda is worse than just drinking the soda. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, and you were saying that the apples were comforting. I think my cookie's comforting. So it's all.
Yeah. It all goes back to the individual. Yes, absolutely.
Exactly. It all goes back to the individual.
Yeah. So we have a few more questions here. We have some time. What food falls in each group, or when should we eat certain foods?
So, well, there is an Ayurvedic clock too. So Oh, okay. So 6 and 10 a.m. and p.m. is kapha time. It's when the water and earth element is the highest, like in the universe. And then 10 to 2 is pitta. So think about it. The sun is the highest at noon. So 10 to 2 is when the fire and water element is the highest. And then 2 to 6 is vata. For me, at 3:30 in the afternoon is my tired time. Like if I could, I'd take a 20-minute nap and a 10-minute meditation every day at 3:30, but that's not realistic. I am grateful that most of my group yoga classes I teach are at 3:30, so that energizes me. But the 2 to 6 a.m. p.m. is vata. That's where you're at the element of air and ether is the highest. So you might find that in the afternoon, you get tired. 4 o'clock, you hit that low, you grab that cup of coffee, you grab that chocolate bar, which I hope you don't. I'm not recommending that whatsoever, but there is an Ayurvedic clock. So, gosh, I just had lost my train of thought. Like there are certain times of the day when we should eat certain foods. But that doesn't mean that you can't have a cookie at 6 o'clock. And again, it all depends. I will say this, your largest meal should be lunch. Your largest meal should be lunch.
Because that's going to fuel you, because then it fires your.
That's gonna fuel you, because that's pitta time. 10 to 2. That is when the fire element is the highest. So your digestion is going to be ready for a large meal. It's going to keep you going. Also depends on what you eat for lunch.
True. If you're eating within your doshas and all the 6 flavors. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. I feel like we could dive into so much of this. Okay, future class, oils and constitutions. I was thinking that, Sarah, like how could the oils match some of the constitutions or doshas? Because you have oils that are really dense and heavy and thick, and then you have ones that are lighter, like and ones that are those middle tones. Like, so yeah, that would be something good to think about.
That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
I've done that with the chakras before.
Uh-huh.
But not the.
Yeah. So vegetables are better roasted.
Depends on what season. Because every season, because you have dosha seasons. It depends. But you don't, raw, all I can say is, again, 80-20. I'm not saying don't ever digest a raw vegetable, but raw is challenging to digest. Not for me. My primary constitution is pitta. So I could digest raw easier than somebody like vata. Vata's very air and ether. So that's going to be more challenging to digest.
So instead, possibly play around with the way you cook your vegetables, like maybe steam them lightly and see how you feel. Would you recommend that?
And also room temperature. I do not eat a salad out of the refrigerator. Excuse me. I don't eat salads cold. I don't eat salads out at restaurants because they're cold.
Yeah.
But again, pitta, so I could digest something room temperature compared to wilted. But I do wilt. I wilt a lot of my greens. Like if I have a salad that's just a bed of lettuce, I'll wilt that.
Okay. Do you get the same nutrition when using veggies and fruits in smoothies? Kale hot, but using in cold beverage, which I think you just said you never really eat anything cold.
Yeah, smoothies are a whole nother subject. I'm kind of looking at Sarah Alley and waiting for her to giggle because we have lots of talks about smoothies. In Ayurvedic medicine or nutrition, smoothies are never a meal substitute. They are always a snack, and it would be seasonal. So it would be more summertime.
Mhm.
Smoothies aren't something, because again, they're cold. They're they have their benefits. They do. I'm not saying I don't ever have a smoothie, but again, it depends on your constitution and what season.
So if you're Pitta and you have, that high heat, high fiery personality, in the summertime, that would be the opposite. A smoothie could cool you down and help
Right.
bring, okay.
So think of like watermelon, think of your
Mhm.
cooling fruits, think of your, juice. I don't know. I want to say smoothies more in the summer for me if I do a smoothie, but juicing, I only juice depending on what's in season. Sarah Alley asked me the other day about celery juice, and I said I would put something in there that'd be a little heavier, like kale, and I would wilt that kale first, or also apples. Apples are in season, are heavy. So I would balance that, if there's a reason, like if you're taking care of another symptom in your body and you're trying to keep your natural state in balance, and you're taking in celery juice for that reason, I would add something to make it heavy. I would add something to make it heavy.
Yeah. And you
Again,
said
think of your
wilted.
gunas, think of your qualities.
So you said you wilt
I'm
your
sorry,
kale.
Sarah, you're breaking up a little bit.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
wilt my kale and
okay, and then add
that
it to your smoothie.
microwave. Yeah, and then add that to your smoothie.
Okay.
And then it won't be so rough.
Yeah. So I think that went with was it Janine? She did ask that about kale hot. So if you wilt it a little, put it in the microwave, or if you have a gas stove, even just like hovering it over the flame a little bit, right? To make it a little wilted.
Yeah, you don't want to burn it. It's a whole nother in Ayurveda too, is burnt in charcoal, and yeah.
Okay. Well, we could keep this conversation going, but let's see what time. I think our time is. We're almost at 9:00. So if you have any recommendations for part 2, if there's things that are just really intriguing to you, I think we have some good ideas, and maybe a way to. Amanda says I have so many more questions, so send them to me. You can message me, and I can, or message Molly too. Her information is here.
Email me, text me, best.
Yeah, and we can plan another part 2, probably in March. Is that what you were saying, Molly?
I prefer the beginning of March. It gives me some time to hear back from everybody and put something together.
Yeah, it will either be March or April. I think we already have some of our schedule out for March. So yeah, either March or April for part 2, which would be kind of nice, because then we're heading into a different season then as well, with the spring season, because now we're thinking all the warming vegetables and root vegetables, and maybe we can have a different approach to seasonal eating.
Sarah, so talking about that, when you say a different season in spring, would you want to think about what the elements would be for that? What do you think?
Yeah.
What would it be for spring?
I'm not sure the question. So talking about the elements of.
The elements. So for spring, what are the elements? I'm quizzing you. I'm putting you on the spot.
We have, so the elements of spring would be probably water.
Yep.
Right. Air.
And
what's ether again? Would it be ether? Oh.
Nope.
No. Water and air.
Water and earth.
Water and earth. Okay.
Earth, because it rains a lot. It gets muddy. It's damp. So that would be nice, actually, to focus on Kapha season's coming.
Okay.
We're in Vata season right now. So
Okay, so I didn't even know that. So, and then it's also still really cool as well in spring. And so, thinking about the transition of the two seasons, I'm sure there's something with that as well. So
there is, it's a spring cleanse, fall rejuvenation. So I personally practice that. So I do 2 cleanse a year, and it does consist of food. And I do one in the spring and one in the fall to help my body transition to season.
oh, yes. Okay. I think we are on to something. So let's plan something for April. Be on the lookout for April. And Molly, if you want to stop sharing your screen, we can do that and just go back to seeing everyone's wonderful faces before we say goodnight. So next week is our brand partner Monday. It's the last Monday in January. Can you believe it? This month flew so it went so fast. We're going to be talking about abundance mindset in business. So no matter what business you're in, if you are doing the Young Living business, if you run your own business in another company, have your own personal business, talking about abundance in business, and specifically the stories we tell ourselves when we see other people having success, right? Because that's a big one. We're talking about mindset a lot this month and a lot coming into this new year. So that's next Monday. Thank you all for joining tonight. Thank you so much, Molly, for all your wisdom that you shared. Have a great night, everyone. We'll have the replay tomorrow. Bye.
Thanks. Well.